It is 21 minutes before the hour, and Bryan Taunton joins us this morning. Bryan, local pastor here in Sylacauga, and announcing yesterday qualifying for City Council District 5. First of all, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
And what's the matter with you? You don't have enough things to do?
Apparently not. That's a good question. I don't think, naturally there's nothing wrong. I just feel like that it's time for a positive difference in our community. I hesitate using the word change because there's a lot of people in city government that I really think fondly of and are dear friends of mine, and I don't want to knock anything that they've been doing because there has been some good things going on in our community. But I think we need to do a better job at creating community unity and helping our city come back to the security and the hope that it once carried. Back in the first year you and I talked, and there was a large group in our community that was asking, and pursuing me to run for mayor. And I appreciate that. That's very nice. I think a large portion of that comes from the fact of the amount of civic work we've done, and our church has done in our community, because we are concerned about our community and the good works that are needed there. But I didn't feel like the timing was right, and I don't know that it ever will be. That's in God's hands. But as things continued on, we continued to receive calls and hear remarks being made, and then as we neared the deadline, then my wife Laura and I and several of our church leaders just began to really pray and analyze things, and we decided it was time. We needed to go a step further.
You were at the political forum on Thursday night, and you saw and heard most of the candidates. A couple couldn't be there due to prior engagements, but people are looking not just for, hey, I'm so-and-so, but they're looking for a plan.
Yeah.
They're looking for a plan. Your thoughts on the political forum and your thoughts as a candidate in District 5?
Well, I think the forum as a whole was a success. I think Carol Bates and the Chamber of Commerce did a fantastic job putting that thing together. But quite frankly, I didn't hear a lot of really substantive answers that I think a lot of our city wanted to hear. And that is, everyone's talking jobs, and industry, and the new sportplex downtown. But I didn't hear any solid ideas on how to make that happen. And when you present your case and you do that, that creates insecurity. We've got to make people, make our community feel good, and reinstill the idea that, city government's actually going to do what we say we're going to do. We're not just making empty political promises. I like the idea of a sportplex. I think it would bring money to our community, and I think that's something that we need to look to getting done. But I also think there are other things that are equally important to our community, such as if you go on the different forums and you hear what people are saying, I'm sorry, but our city residents aren't fired up about Sylacauga anymore. They're down, they're beaten, and we've got to do some things to correct that. And part of that is bringing jobs in. I think part of that is continuing to work to revitalize downtown and fill up the empty businesses or empty buildings that we have with new business. But at the same time, I think we need to take, we give a lot of concessions, and I think the city's done a good job at bringing in industry, and we've got to continue doing that without question. But we also need to think about the little guy that's in business right now and what we can do for them.
Bryan Taunton, our guest this morning. Bryan, a pastor at Christ Point Community Church in Sylacauga, and announcing yesterday qualified for District 5. Now, two other candidates, Billy Carden and Billy Hay, have already announced their candidacy in District 5, which is a a far-flung kind of district and kind of scattered out a little bit.
It is. It looks like a shotgun blast when you look at the map there. I mean, it stretches all the way from, I believe it's Hammett Avenue, Avondale Avenue, over to the Municipal Park, down Highway 280, back up through parts of Cloverdale, Odina area, my district or my area over there off of Fulton Gap Road. Zubers back out through there. So it is a scattered district. But, you know, I think in every district, the needs are all pretty much the same. You know, there are issues that face the local districts that we need to take a look at, such as road conditions and, you know, city and sanitation, road department. We need to look at some things going on there. I think there's some slow response that I think we probably need to look at in our city sanitation. But it's something that we're going to have to do collectively. It's something that we're going to have to work to. When was the last time we really felt like we had a city government that was really unified and wanted to pull together and come up with ideas? And I think that's something that a new administration is really focused on. That's one thing that I heard on Thursday night, is it seems that everybody does understand, you know, whatever we do, we've got to do together. You know, one of the reasons that the deciding factors in my deciding to run was as part of our missional, our DNA training in our church. Then we focused on, you know, taking personal responsibility and accountability for our community. What better way could I demonstrate that as a pastor than to step up and step up to the plate, so to speak, and serve as city councilman? And I'm excited about that opportunity, and I hope that people will vote for me, and I'll get the chance to serve in that capacity, because I promise you, if I do, then I will serve from the aspect of a true servant leadership and understand, you know, we've got to work to govern our community and make decisions for our community based on community needs as servant leaders, and not just feel like, well, I'm in the position of city councilman, I make the rules, I set the agendas, because we don't.
Looking at the campaign, of course, the election is the 28th of August. We're a month, 5 weeks out from that, and you have been a promoter of Sylacauga, events in Sylacauga for a long time.
Tried to be, and I think that's key to the success of our city. Is we've got to continue to work and get outside our city limits to touch base with people outside of our community, to let them know that Sylacauga, the Marble City, it's a great place to be. It's a great place to live. And we've got to work, you know, with our industry leaders. Tom Roberts, I think, has done a fantastic job at bringing attention to the fact that, look, a lot of our city business industry leaders, they work in Sylacauga, but they don't live here. And we've got a great school system, you know, and that's another area that we need to focus on. I think it's a terrible thing that the amount of dollars that our city school teachers are having to put into their own classrooms because of loss of different subsidies, you know, and we've got to work to improve that. Certainly there are grants and there's monies that we can go off of. These teachers aren't paid enough as it is. We need to find that money to help them. I think there's no excuse for a grammar school teacher, a high school teacher, middle school teacher to have to spend $300, $500 a year on his or her own students. There's something that can be done, you know, about that.
Of course, we're talking with Bryan Taunton, a candidate for City Council District 5 in the August 28th municipal elections. And when you look at the whole picture, there's going to be a new mayor. There will be at least 2 new city councilmen. So there is change in the air in Sylacauga, and people say, well, you can't do this and you can't do that, and it may take time to accomplish some things, but it has been proven that Sylacauga can get the heavyweights to come here, whether it's a speaker or new business, but it does take time and cooperation.
We're in a great location geographically. We've got great access, and we're not too far away from the larger metropolitan areas to have reasonably quick access to those, and we have existing industry that's in our community that we need to capitalize on. I think we can do a better job at that and attracting businesses that do business with those businesses and industries to look at Sylacauga and to come to our area. But through that all, we've got to be ready and willing to provide a workforce to work in those companies so that we can attract other people to move here to go to work. But I think to do that, we have got to work in our educational system to try to improve the level of capacity of our people and coming back to instilling that sense of hope and unity and love for our city loyalty, trying to create a work atmosphere, a work environment that, when our kids go out and they finish school, they finish college, that Sylacauga is a place that they want to come back to. And to do that, we've got to give them experiences as they're growing up that remind them and want them to come back to Sylacauga. That's one thing that I also feel is absent from our city is things for our students in the area to do. Right now, the big thing on a Friday or Saturday night is to go to Birmingham and go into Chelsea, go into Inverness. I think we've got to focus on some things, along that area too, rather than just focusing and allowing our faith-based community.
There's been a lot of talk about expansion out on 280 and new businesses on that corridor there. Sylacauga does not have a movie theater, and you have to travel 20 miles to Talladega or 40 miles to Inverness or 30 miles to Alexander City to view a movie at a local theater. Your district is along that 280 corridor.
Yes.
What can you speak to this morning about what you'd like to see happen out there?
Well, I think that's something that we've absolutely, we've got to pursue. We've been talking about this and talking about it and kicking it around, and I'll be honest, I'm not sure I know what some of the holdups have been, some of the restraints have been, but obviously what we have there now is not getting the job done. So there needs to be a change. We've got to do and make arrangements to be able to do those kind of developments for the simple fact that, one, that will help in what we just discussed and providing activities for our younger people in our city and our families and so forth, but also it's going to drive retail. And we all know that driving retail, drives city revenue. The only other way to do that is to raise taxes. Well, we don't want to do that. Right. So the answer is we've got to create more retail outlets. Well, in order to make the retail outlet successful, we've got to convince people to shop at home and convince people to move to the city. So it's kind of a catch-all situation that we're in right now that we've been depreciating for a long time in all of those areas. And the main reason for that is, unfortunately, for many, many years, we lived and thrived on various textiles and production. And much of that we were relying on, unfortunately, we didn't take notice early enough that those industries were shrinking. Yeah. And so now we're sitting here and we're just ducks in the water because we didn't have a backup plan or anything else in our community to help continue that economic drive in our city. And that's what we've got to do. I think textile, is making its way back to the United States. So we need to look at that. But we also need to look at some other areas that we can tap into, such as technology and so forth, to bring industry back to our city, so we can help drive all of those areas.
The Sylacauga Planning Commission recently announced some changes in the downtown area when remodeling and building takes place, and your thoughts about downtown Sylacauga?
Well, you know, I understand. I know it's a complicated question, and I wasn't there when they came back and they revisited. It's my understanding that there was a decision back in 2005 that perhaps I'm not saying this is correct. Okay, I just but that now requires, you know, new business owners or whatever to before they can buy a permit, before they can start to remodel their building, they need to go through the historical commission. I think it's important that we take a deeper look at that, and we reassess that, because we don't need to do anything to complicate or hinder new business development in our downtown area, and to create an attractable downtown area that is going to be visually appealing enough, you know, because unfortunately, you know, Jimmy, we don't walk down Main Street anymore. We're not walking down Broadway like we did back 50 years ago. So we've got to create, allow people to create more eye-appealing storefronts that will catch the eye of people that are passing through and driving through Sylacauga, and get them to stop in our city and do some shopping, and hopefully come back. And I think if we do that, then we will at the same time create a local area or downtown, an area in the downtown district that is going to convince our local people to come, you know, and spend those days. It could be that, you know, we start looking for some things, that shops that have longer hours or so forth, because, you know, when you have families and two people are working in the household, they're not getting off until 5 o'clock. Well, by that time, most of downtown is closed up. There's really not any, you know, they don't have a lot of options. So I think we've got to look at businesses that can also offer us an alternative in that area.
Bryan Taunton, candidate for City Council District 5, qualifying yesterday. Qualifying ends today, I think at 5 o'clock. And so, Bryan, in the next minute or so, talk to the prospective voters and why should they vote Bryan Taunton District 5 on August 28th?
Yes.
27th?
27th, I think it is. Well, I think people need to vote in District 5 for me, Bryan Taunton, for the simple reason that I am a servant leader, and I will work hard for the people to kind of fill the pot, so to speak, to reinstill a sense of hope and security and unity to our city that's needed, and that's going to be in all areas. That you know, it means in terms of industry, in terms of retail, and in terms of family enjoyment, family participation in our city. Whether that be a new sportplex, a new retail outlet, whatever it is, we definitely need more activity happening in our city, and I'll work to help make sure that happens. But at the same time, and through all of that, I also have an open ear, and I think we need to listen to what our city, what our people are saying, and take that to heart and take measures to satisfy whatever it is they feel that we need.
Okay, Bryan Taunton, our guest this morning. Bryan, always a pleasure, and thanks for dropping by.
Thank you.
We got more coming up on Daybreak. A look at your weather forecast and more after this.